Hi, we're just going to put a little program together covering this wonderful book called Becoming a Contagious Christian. It's a classic written by Bill Hybels and Mark Middleberg from Willow Creek back in Chicago. I've used it many times, and to me it's just the best there is. So we're going to put a little summary together and try to cover the highlights of each chapter. I'd love it if you can read the book yourself, and we'll put some outlines together. But let me just cover some of the key points. The first chapter is actually the core question: why become a contagious Christian at all? Why should you even get involved with this? Why not just be a Christian, sit in church, enjoy the music, be a part of it, be a godly person? But why become a contagious Christian? I grew up in Thailand, and every year or two we go back and do a mission trip. Now, last time we were up northern Thailand, near where I grew up. We built some buildings, and we were dedicating the buildings. And so people came with me from Bangkok who were wealthy, just wonderful, godly people. And he brought a stack of, at that time, were I think 100 baht bills, which maybe is worth $5. And he had a whole stack of those, and he gave them to his son-in-law, and all the young people at the school stood in line. And he just peeled them off one by one to each of the kids. I said, I want that job. Where do I get a job like that? Sometimes my wife and I talk, how could I go and work for Bill Gates and his foundation? We just go around the world and find worthy projects and give millions. And you can just make a whole disease go away and solve people's problems. What an incredible gift that would be. But we have better than that. We have God. We have living forever. Jesus is preparing a place for us in heaven, and we are giving people a chance to live forever. It's an incredible thing. There's something called the anthropic principle. If you get into the whole creation evolution debate, they often talk about this. The anthropic principle is the idea that as these satellites have gone out into deep space, they have come back with numbers that calibrate the universe in deep space, various numbers. I can't tell you them all. There's about 30 numbers at least. And these numbers, how far the sun is away from the earth and many other numbers. The numbers are exactly what they have to be, down to many, 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 many decimal points of what the universe would have to be in order for life to be here on this planet. And it just looks as if somewhere there was a plan that the world was made for man. That's why the anthropic principle, the Greek word for man. That just shows how incredible it is that God has prepared this universe for us. That's how important we are to God. And if we're that important to God, then lost people matter that much to God. Someone else talks about the customer service principle that we have in business today. That the customer is always right. You care about your customers or you can't stay open. My boys and I were out golfing in the rain last week. We had a lot of rain here in Southern California. We thought we'd sneak out there for 2.5, 3 hours. They told us we had to be in by a certain time, so we cut off a couple holes. We're soaking wet. All of a sudden the sun comes out and it's blue sky, and we're down to one more hole to go. And the guy drives out on his golf cart and he says, you guys need to come in now. I said, little short 100-yard hole. It would take us 5 more minutes. It's 45 minutes before sundown. The rain has stopped. Why would you send someone out to stop us 5 minutes to go? Well, we want to be good sports. We want to play there again. So, okay, but it wasn't the best customer service. Obviously, someone just wanted to go home. On the other hand, one night I was buying a stereo, and I got home and I could not get all the cables together, and no sound was coming out. I called the salesman. He says, I'll be right over on my way home. He walks into my house, wires it all up, tapes it all together, writes me a sheet of instructions. I said, that's customer service. Didn't want to take any money for it. Just a guy who wanted to keep his customers happy. That's how, if human beings are willing to care about other people that way, then that's how God cares about us. And we just want to have the same heart as God has. If God cares about lost people, then we want to care about lost people. The famous stories in Luke 15, the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the prodigal son, the lost boy. And the common thread of all three stories is lost people matter to God. They matter so much that He's willing to do everything, to do an all-out search to go out and find the lost people. And if we have God's heart in ours, then we have to care about lost people. Lost people should matter to us. And we just can't stand aside and let people die and slip away without giving them a chance to know God and to be in heaven forever. Well, a couple stories just to give an illustration of that. I was thinking about Haiti right now. 11 days, as we're taping this, 11 days since they had the earthquake. And they finally made the announcement, we're not searching anymore. And one mother came to them and said, how can you do that? She had heard the cries of her 2 or 3 children underneath the rubble. She said, yeah, I know we haven't heard them for a while. Maybe they're gone. But please look another day or two. You just can't let people die. If there's any chance that you could still find them and give them life. You can hear that mother's cry. Well, God feels that way. And if God feels that way, then so should we. I took a group of Thailand one time. And the last night we were way up in the high mountain villages, staying in these huts. And some of our guides were drinking. And I knew the next day they were going to have to drive us all the way down home. I was really upset. I can't come home and meet one of the parents at the airport and say, one of your kids, I'm sorry, but our drivers were drunk and they drove the car off the road and we lost your kid. We're sorry. I just couldn't do that. And so I sat on the front seat all the way down that mountain, ready to grab the wheel at a moment's notice. When we got to customs at LAX, I stayed in the back until every one of my kids was through customs. I wasn't coming out and said, well, we lost one of yours. Well, every human being is someone that Jesus died for. He doesn't want a single person lost. That's why we have to be a contagious Christian. A couple questions that everyone asks, Why should we go and tell anybody? If God saves everybody based upon the light that they have, why go and give them more light that they have to live up to in order to be saved? And the answer is, it's just more likely that they will fall in love with God if they hear the full story of Christ. Not just a little impression from God or the Holy Spirit, but if they can hear someone with love in their eyes and eyes flashing, just with passion, speak about God, what God means to them, and tell the story of Christ. It's more likely, and they'll just have a better life if they know God. Number 2, why does God use us? Why doesn't he just do it himself? He'll be better at it. God will not mess it up. He will give the message pure. He would never make a mistake. He would never turn anyone off. But no, number 1, God has to preserve free choice. If God goes shouting the truth to everybody, have us find Noah's Ark, the Ark of the Covenant, and everything is obvious, then there would be no more free choice. So God uses human beings, and people can get it or they can reject it, and they are still preserve their free choice. Number 2, God just wants us to have the pleasure and the thrill of bringing people to him. There's just nothing like it. It's better than Disneyland. It's better than ice cream, I tell everybody. It's better than the best pleasure. It's better than the Lakers winning anything else. When you can have God use you to win someone. I was in church Sabbath, and out came the door of someone that I baptized last year. I prayed for him, took him on mission trips, went to his home every week. We'd have dinner and studied with him. In the last week, he said, before you go, I want you to baptize me. I was in the Philippines, come out the door of the cafeteria, and a girl said, Pastor Dan. I said, do you remember me? No, you baptized me last year. I said, no regrets? No, I'm the only one in my family. I'm being truthful. There's no joy like that. And God just wanted to say, let me give it to you. That's why to become a contagious Christian. I hope that you'll do all 10 of these and become a contagious Christian for God.